Welcome back to Open Your Reality. This is part 2 of what nobody told you about simulation theory. If you didn't watch part 1, I suggest watching it first. The link to it is in the description, and there will be a card on the top right part of the screen. However, if you just want to watch part 2, please be my guest. Anyway, we left off talking about how our consciousness operates inside the simulation. I think more detail is warranted. So the entire simulation we live in, including everything we see, all the dimensions and realities, and consciousness itself, yes, even consciousness, is part of the simulation. The creator of all this is outside of the simulation. So from a scientific perspective, we have no idea and no definitive answer for what lies outside of it. That is because, by nature, we cannot exist outside the simulation. A virtual, simulated character cannot step outside the video game into our world. We are beholden to the same fate. All we know is that a creator made our simulation. The creator could be a terrestrial being, what we think of as God, or even another computer, meaning we're nested. I talked about this in part 1. So, one of the questions often asked about our world is, where do all the new souls come from? How is consciousness created? Simulation theory can answer that fairly easily. Tom Campbell has said that the creator only need copy and paste to create new individuated units of consciousness. After all, we're just lines of code in a computer. I know you don't like to think of yourself that way, but, well, that's part of the theory. The creator made us so that each individuated unit of consciousness will be slightly different, just as no two people are identical. The individuated unit of consciousness can be thought of as our higher self, and is currently in a virtual reality frame other than ours. I personally call it the afterlife because that's when and where we'll reconnect with it. Remember, all of these reality frames happen in the simulation, inside a computer, and everything in it is only information. When we were first created by the system, or as Tom Campbell calls the entire simulation, the larger consciousness system, we existed in a place where there were no consequences. Tom likened the situation to a large chat room where there were no consequences for our interactions. But being there were no consequences, there was very little growth. The system saw this and decided to create a solution that would help us achieve growth much faster. So, the larger consciousness system, or LCS for short, decided to create realities where we could inhabit, like our universe. But the catch was we'd have to break off a piece of ourselves and send it into the chosen reality where it would inhabit a body. Before this could happen though, the LCS had to create a reality with conditions that could support life. Tom believes the LCS went through many renditions of our universe before it got to ours. It probably did the same for countless other universes that also currently exist within the simulation. The predecessors of our universe, of which there could have been thousands or even millions, failed to produce conditions hospitable for life. Even though, again, it's all virtual. Every time a universe failed to produce the new conditions for life, it was simply deleted from the LCS. And another one was created, slightly tweaked, and began again. Ultimately, our universe was created, and the LCS had finally gotten the rule set of physics correct. Once life began forming and flourishing in our universe, the LCS allowed us to log on. We basically agreed to place our consciousness into these human avatars we all have. By doing so, we could fully immerse ourselves in this reality, completely forgetting about our higher self and who we truly are. As a result, we began to believe this universe is all there is, and we identified with our body, believing we are our body. But our body is just an avatar we are using as a vehicle in this world. Our consciousness is truly what's in control. Before I go further down this line of thought, I want to point out that our universe is an evolving universe and not a determined one. Yes, it was programmed with a certain set of rules and constraints, but once the run button was pushed, it evolved. Even the creator wasn't sure how it would turn out. Today, our universe continues to evolve, and so do we. The creator has thankfully given us free will and the ability to make choices that either hurt or help ourselves. This is one key reason why there is so much suffering and pain in the world. It is because we are 100% allowed to make poor choices. Nobody, much less the creator, is stopping that from happening. And when poor choices are made, pain and suffering usually follow in their wake. But unfortunately, there's no other way to learn. In general, if we make choices out of selfishness, ego, and fear, they are usually poor choices. But if we make choices out of selflessness, love, and compassion, they often turn out to be good choices. As a rule of thumb, the quality of our consciousness, or the level we're at, often determines the quality of our choices. And the choices we make determine the consequences we face. It's not always that cut and dry, but it's highly probable to be that way. So, you may be asking, why create a universe with free will and consequences? Well, the purpose of our universe is to be a trainer for consciousness. By being fully immersed in the game, we absolutely believe the game is real. And this is a wonderful virtual reality game because it has almost all of us completely fooled. Not only that, we are oblivious to the truth of our situation. That is, until the simulation argument came along. It's as Morpheus said in the Matrix of our Earth. It is the world that has been pulled over your eyes to blind you of the truth. When I began researching the simulation argument about a decade ago, it totally opened my eyes up to a new way of thinking and looking at existence. I had known about Carl Pribram's assertion that the universe was holographic ever since the 1990s. In the early 2000s, David Icke expanded on the concept even more. But Tom Campbell has totally broken open the floodgates on the simulation argument and is explaining it all to us now. His descriptions and explanations of simulation theory are truly compelling and fascinating. So, getting back to why we're here, by making choices we learn, and by learning we evolve, which is the point to all of this. When even one of us evolves, the entire system evolves with it. That's why all of us are important. No matter how insignificant you think your life is, it doesn't matter how much money you make, where you live, or how many followers you have on your social media account. What really matters is how much you've evolved the quality of your consciousness since you've been here. You can get an idea by simply looking at your life. If you have an overall sense of happiness, peace of mind, and view life as an awesome challenge, you're probably doing very well. And the opposite is true. If you feel life is always against you and you take a negative stance towards it, you're probably not evolving. Look, not all of us evolve during our lifetime. We all know people who make the same poor choices their entire life. Those people then die, and their consciousness returns to the higher self as somewhat of a failure. Undeterred, the higher self plans out its next life, where it may be born into easier circumstances. Either way, it will log into a body in our universe or one of the many other universes that exist within the LCS. This goes on indefinitely, and we refer to it as reincarnation. When we finally get to a point that we need not return to this reality frame, we go on to the next one, where more evolved beings reside. We basically graduate. In this way, life is a grand ride that goes on for a long, long time. In a sense, it's never ending, unless the LCS decides to delete our consciousness. As long as we're evolving, that's not likely to happen at all. But if we keep de-evolving and never learn from our mistakes, the LCS may scrap our individuated unit of consciousness. Are you kind of getting it now? Is this making sense? I hope it is. I'm going to stop here. I'm not sure if I'll make a part 3 or not. Let me know in the comment section if you want one. Now, I have something very important to tell you. Nobody can be told what the subscribe button really is. You have to press it for yourself. This is your last chance. Okay, I'm just joking about that. There'll be other chances. But seriously, subscribe and give me a big thumbs up. That'll let YouTube know I'm doing a good job. Thank you for watching, and check out some of my other cool, awesome videos right here.